Coming up on the Paper Talk today, is today finally going to be when we find out who Manchester United's manager is going to be next season? Is it going to be Erik Ten Hag? Is it going to be Mauricio Pochettino? Or could it even be Gareth Southgate? Let's get into it. Jay here for Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm outside Old Trafford and the weather is pretty mild, so you might not even need your parkers today. Loads of stories to get through, so we will crack on. First of all, though, make sure you are hitting like, share, and subscribe. We want to get, I won't say 750,000 subscribers, because we've got there, so a big thank you to everyone. We want to get to 800,000 now, onwards and upwards. That's the spirit. Right. As you'd expect, right, loads of the stories today are focusing on Erik Ten Hag, his future, what is happening, is he going to be the United manager next season? If not, who is it going to be? And the sort of gist of it all is not many people know anything. There's a lot of speculation, there's a lot of conjecture, there's a lot of rumours, there's a lot of stories, lots of reports, but nothing concrete. And there's a lot of sort of, I won't say misquoting going on, but people sort of twisting what other people are saying to make it mean this thing when it could mean the other. It's all very, very confusing at the minute. Now, Muppeteers did a tweet yesterday, or they were being quoted by a few aggregator accounts saying it's going to be Pochettino. Now, they sort of clarified that. I think it was Jack Fawcett from there, or they were quoted by Muppeteers saying that this is more of a sort of, not an estimated guess, but looking at certain things that have gone on and suggesting that it could be him. If you look at the fact that he's now available, the fact it's dragging on, the fact that there's not been any clarity in terms of Erik Ten Hag being told he's going to stay. But then by no means are they saying it's going to be Mauricio Pochettino. He's going to be the next Manchester United manager. You look at other papers as well, other websites, they're reporting either similar things or completely different ones. Give Me Sport ran an article and they're saying, well, Erik Ten Hag's gone on holiday, confident that he's going to be the next United manager. However, Dan Ashworth is a big fan of Gareth Southgate, and if England do bits in the Euros, who knows what could happen there? Perhaps Gareth Southgate could end up being Manchester United manager. If Gareth Southgate is to become Manchester United manager on the back of the Euros, then that means United won't have a new manager in place until, what, the middle of July? Seems a bit of a stretch, that, to me, to think that the owners and Ineos are waiting to see what Gareth Southgate does in the Euros to decide whether to appoint him as the manager. Now, that might happen. The fact is we don't know. Dan Ashworth might be a big fan of Gareth Southgate and he might say, let's wait and see what he does at the Euros. It just seems a bit unlikely to me to wait all that long and then appoint Gareth Southgate. And in the meantime, what you're going to do is just leave Erik Ten Hag to think he's going to be the United manager next season. Yeah, all very confusing at the minute. Nothing is quite clear. I think that when it comes to the whole Dan Ashworth liking Gareth Southgate thing, another sort of fly in the ointment there is Dan Ashworth's still not taking his role at Manchester United. He's still on gardening leave from Newcastle. Omar Barada, who's the new CEO, hasn't taken up his role at Manchester United yet. Jean-Claude Blanc is stepping in for him. You might have heard that. That was producer Ethan who's sneezing, and I blame him. He's a Newcastle fan. It's all his fault we haven't got Dan Ashworth yet. So we haven't got these people in place who we think are going to make the decision on the manager. How can we make a decision on a manager? It just seems very confusing. No one really quite knows what is going on. All you can do is speculate. You can look at some of the facts that we do know. We do know that as of yet, Ineos haven't come out and publicly backed the manager. Now, you may look at that as, well, that doesn't mean he's going anywhere, or that means he is going somewhere, and that they don't fancy him, otherwise they would have come out. You could look at it and you can go, well, look, Jason Wilcox is in his job, Omar Barada isn't, Dan Ashworth isn't, they're waiting until everyone's in place. That, to me, makes a lot of sense. It's just a little bit frustrating from a Manchester United fan point of view because you want some clarity, you want to know what is going on, you want to know who's going to be the manager next season. If you don't know my opinion about it already, I'll tell you again, I want Erik Ten Hag to stay. Back-to-back trophies. Yes, we finished 8th, it wasn't great, but we won the FA Cup. I think if you get some players back from injury, this manager can take this club forward. I would love to see him being given the opportunity to work under Ineos, under a new structure, under this new regime properly. You may disagree, that's fine. Get involved in the comments and let me know what you think. Jamie Jackson has done a piece. Again, he's sort of saying, look, we're still waiting. You don't know. Is today going to be the day you're going to get some clarity? Potentially. He's also spoken about transfers and about potential outgoings, because one thing Manchester United needs to do is raise some money. There was talk of us having a £35 million transfer budget, which absolutely fills me with dread. Finishing 8th in the Premier League and then going into the next season with 35 million quid in your coffers would be disastrous. However, it doesn't seem that is the full story. More money can be generated from sales and getting people off the wage bill. And we have got a lot of players on huge amounts of money that could potentially bring in a lot of money just by getting them off the wage bill. We've already done it to some degree. The likes of Anthony Martial, the likes of Raphael Varane, one or two others have left the club. Obviously, that's cleared up and freed up some money. Jamie Jackson was talking in his piece about other players that could be on the way out. Scott McTominay potentially, Harry Maguire, Jadon Sancho, Mason Greenwood. You could get decent money for these players. He was sort of lowballing it a lot with what you could get for them, but there is money on the table. Jadon Sancho is someone who, if you count in his wages, could be worth around 55 million quid to the club. If you can get a decent amount of money for him and get him off the wage bill, that could be that sort of money that you're looking at. This could bump up the amount of money United have to spend next season to around 170, 180 million quid. Then all of a sudden you're looking at it going, okay, that's a little bit better. We'll have to wait and see, though, because, again, there's just a lot of conjecture. In terms of players who go in and staying, Harry Maguire is one I just mentioned there who could be going out. Now, he's not going to the Euros. That might be detrimental to United if they wanted to sell him, because if he went to the Euros with England, had a decent competition, had a decent tournament, I mean, let's not forget, United more or less bought him off the back of a good performance at the World Cup. I know it wasn't just that, he'd done well at Leicester as well, but it certainly helps his cause in terms of getting that big money transfer. If he'd had a good tournament for England with the Euros, like he did at the last Euros, don't forget, I think he was was he player of the match against Germany? I think he was. I think he did really well in that tournament. Then all of a sudden you're looking at it and going, okay, maybe that increases his value if United did want to move him on. I don't know if they do. They might say, well, look, we've already had injury problems. We've lost Raphael Varane. Harry Maguire is probably third choice centre back, maybe second choice centre back now. With Raphael Varane going out, let's keep hold of him. We'll have to wait and see what happens. One player who not going to the Euros could help Manchester United, if that makes any sort of sense, is Jarrad Branthwaite. We've been linked very heavily with the Everton centre-back. He's not going to the Euros. Now, had he gone and had a good tournament, I know there's lots of ifs and buts and maybes, but you get my point. Had he gone to the Euros, had a really good tournament, then his value price would have increased, and United would probably be looking at paying 70, 80 million quid for him if they wanted him. However, he hasn't been picked for the final squad for Gareth Southgate's final squad, so he's not going to the Euros. So that, you could argue, helps United cause if we want him. We've been linked quite heavily with Jarrad Branthwaite. We've seen a lot of that. Seen the Evening Standard again, and I think the Manchester Evening News still pushing this idea that Manchester United are chasing Lenny Yoro, still after him, putting in bids apparently, according to some sources as well, a 51 million quid bid for the, I think he's a teenage defender. I think he's 18 years old, highly sought, highly regarded. United are after him. So it's just, we're in this sort of confusing time in a minute where we don't know what bids are going to go in. We don't know who's pulling the strings. We don't know who the manager's going to be. We don't know whether it is going to be Pochettino who's going to come in. We don't know if it's going to be Southgate. No, that doesn't really fill me with much optimism. Or if Erik Ten Hag is going to keep his job. And a lot of what is going on is people just going every day, this could be the day, this could be the day. We expect to hear it. Now, Jamie Jackson did say earlier on this week, we expect some clarity this week, by the end of this week. We still haven't got it. We're still waiting to see who the manager is. So it depends on your point of view whether you think actually it could be Pochettino, it could be Gareth Southgate, or maybe Erik Ten Hag does keep his job. It's just a very confusing time at the minute for Manchester United fans, for the club as well. But I'd rather Ineos took the time and got the decision right, which for me is keeping Erik Ten Hag, than rushed into it and appointed someone who isn't up to the job. Make sure you're getting involved in the chat and the comments. It's going to be back later on today. We've got The Brew, myself, Joe Smith, and a special guest, Jim from the Slow Readers Club, is going to be joining us for that one. So don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. I've been Jay Motty. This has been The Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.